Hello, I want to do a video on the rear struts to a 2004 Toyota Camry. First thing you want to do is make sure you got the right ones. They both got the same parts on them. The bolt holes, everything's the same. They're the same height. So what you want to do is, I already done one of these, should have filmed that one, but anyhow, you want to soak down all your bolts and nuts that you're taking out with some penetrating oil. Let that soak for as long as you want. Probably 5 minutes at the least, let it soak. And let's try it, see what happens. I'm trying to do this and film at the same time, so it might not be pretty doing this at one hand, but I'll give it a shot. Anyhow, we're going to you jack your car up, make sure everything's safe, put your jack stands under, lock your tires up, and you want to take out this bolt, which releases the brake line from the strut. Secondly, you want to do is take the bolt out for the sway arm, and it's really helpful if you have both tires up in the air. You know, you put both back tires up in the air, because then that releases the pressure on the sway bar, and it just pops right out of the hole. If you do it one tire at a time, there's a lot of pressure on this bar and it won't come out of this hole. So after that, you have your two main strut bolts here. You want to wait to fully take those out until you get to the 3 bolts inside on the tower, the strut tower, and they are located. You have to take off your back speaker case. Don't forget to take that wire off the brake light if you have one before you pull this bugger down, because you'll rip the wire right out. Anyhow, underneath the there's your 3 strut tower bolts down there. You want to loosen those up. Don't take them fully out, because then, you know, either or, those 2 bolts at the bottom or these 3 at the top, the strut's gonna flop right out of there. So get your bottom bolts loose, get these loose, take 2 of these out, leave 1, take one of the ones out of this down here, leave 1 in, get this supported. It's gonna be floppy once it's took off the strut, so it's probably good to have 2 guys around. I did this myself, but I'm a little more mechanically inclined to automobiles. So all right, so we start by, you know, taking out the bolt. All right, and it's not going to be nice. Okay, so let me get back to you. I'm going to put some heat to this, and we'll get back to it. All right, now we got this one out. If you're only doing one side, you wouldn't be able to do this. Take this right out. With both tires in the air, it releases the pressure from the sway bar. All right, I got that bugger out. Be careful, your lines are probably pretty brittle. Just bend it away from the strut. It's up to you how you get your bolts off, but mine have to be preheated. So you can catch your car on fire really easy if you're not careful. Just heat the nut. If you choose to do it this way, be careful you don't burn your brake lines or anything rubber. Stay away safety fuel tank, but that's all up to you. I don't accept any responsibility for anybody catching their car on fire. That is up to you if you want to use the torch. But it is one way to get the bolts cracked loose, is to preheat them. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is pull these nuts off and go up to the tower up top where I showed you there's 3 bolts. Take 2 of the 3 out, leave 1 so that the strut can hang from the car. And then down here you get these bolts close to out. Put a jack under here if you want to support this, or put some wood under there. It's not going to be like shoot out, but just be careful. Always use jack stands under the car so you don't have an accident. But anyhow, I can't do this with one hand, so I gotta preheat these buggers and pull them out, and I will get back to you with that half. Okay, I couldn't film dropping this strut out of the car, but it's fairly simple to understand. This is the old strut, there's the new one. Okay, so when you get all the bolts out and you leave one of these, top or bottom, and one of the top ones leave on there so the strut can hang from the body. Okay, what you want to do is you can either pop out the top ones and then come down here and pop your last one out of here. That's what I did. When I was ready to drop it, I took the one that I had off up here, and then I came down here and spun off the bolt and spun it out. The strut pops out. It pops out of that sleeve right there. It pops out and then hangs in this area. It just doesn't come flying out at you. At least on this model it doesn't. Okay, to get the sway arm, you're probably going to run into this problem. Use vice grips. Get in the back here. There's the neck of the sway arm in there, and there's like a little nub on there. If you have it, mine has a little nub. Lock the vice grips down on it, and then you can take it out this way. There is a hex bolt hole here where you could stick a hex head in there and use a wrench on this nut, but every single time I try it, it strips it out. I don't have highest quality hex heads, so I use the vice grips on the neck of the sway arm. See, if your sway arm is newer, try the hex and wrench theory, because when you use the vice grips, and if your sway bar is old, the boot's gonna rip. It's gonna rip. It's gonna get a little tear or whatever. But anyhow, lock the vice grips on there if it's your last resort. Take your impact or socket wrench and spin this off. Pop that out. You're good to go. Your strut pops out. You slide it back in. Okay. This is where the jack comes in handy. Okay, so this flops up and down once it's loose from the strut. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is line up the bottom. Line up this bottom bolt here by pushing this in. Push it in, and then tap on the back of the strut, or use a bar to pull it into the neck of this. do the bottom one first. Put a screwdriver through the hole, and catch this neck and pry it and line it up so that you could slide your bolt all the way through. Get your bottom bolt in there. You don't have to put the nut on, just put the bottom bolt in. Set the jack underneath here. Now don't jack up your car, just jack this up enough to relieve some of the pressure here and make it easier for you to slide this top in. Now when you jack it up, it kind of pivots. It pivots this. So this kind of wants to roll in, so it does some of the work, but you have to slam it or pull the strut into it, and then use a screwdriver in there to line it up, line up the hole, slide the bolt in, you know, put your bolts back in. It's a fairly simple job. I mean, if you put penetrating oil on and some heat, I don't advise you to use the heat unless you know how to, so you don't blow yourself up or catch your car on fire. That's it, guys. Strut install, left and right. Sorry I couldn't film it in depth, but to do this is impossible. Have a great day, guys. Like, subscribe. Any questions, let me know.